debt, fear, relationships, the children, your health, work. When you want to give up and you need courage to continue, take heart and stay tuned as RJ Jackson writes her signature message of hope on your heart. You don't have to live where you're dying, and you don't have to die where you're living. Like every show of Conversations on Courage, you'll be informed, inspired, and encouraged to find the courage you need to succeed at home, work, and in your business. Get your pen and paper. You'll want to take notes. And now, your host, RJ Jackson, the Courage Giver.
Hello, beautiful. I'm your friend, RJ Jackson, your master encourager, accountability coach, speaker for your next event, and your down-to-earth, I'm listening, tell it like it is, I love you, girl, friend. Yep, that's me. Welcome to the conversation. This is a show for women who dare to be bold and courageous, women who live life unapologetically. This is a show where you can find the courage you need in order to succeed. This is episode 1 of Conversations on Courage. It's the one you'll want to listen to over and over again. It's the one you'll share with your friends. Matter of fact, go ahead. Why don't you do that right now? Why don't you show your sister friend that you care about her and you want her to succeed? Go ahead and share the show by hitting the share button right now. After all, sharing is caring. On today's show, we promise to fill your cup with courage one sip at a time. We're going to provide you with success strategies, inspiration, and purposeful conversation. What else are we going to do while we're together? Well, we're going to respond to your questions. You know, the ones you had the courage to ask out loud on our Facebook group. Girl, I'm working on it too. Oh, and by the way, if you're new and you're not a part of our group, we invite you to join us today on Facebook, where you will find a safe place to be you, authentically you, and meaningful relationships with women just like you. We'll also share in your story, and we will provide you with a life-giving experience. And, of course, before we end, we'll talk to our featured guest. This week's guest is Joy Osahon. Joy is a lifestyle blogger and motivational speaker. Let's welcome Joy to the table for another epic conversation on courage. So Joy, Miss Joy, should I say, welcome to the table. I'm excited about the conversation we're going to have today and the lives that are going to be changed as a result of you sharing your story. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I'm actually really, really, really excited with this conversation. Super excited.
Well, girl, let's just go right ahead and jump right in because I know you are going to feed our soul. We're going to be full, so full that we'll be able to give something to someone else based on what you shared with us so that they, too, can find hope and possibility. So, Joy, what's your story? Like, how did you get to where you are? How did you become a lifestyle blogger?
Wow. So, I'm like, where do I start? So I would say, like, I moved to New Jersey about 5.5 years ago. It was for me to be closer to the guy I was in a relationship with at the time. We did not live in the same household. You know, I'm Nigerian, and he's and the guy's Haitian. So I was not going to be supported by our parents, but I was able to be closer. And the minute he ended that relationship, I was torn And so I had so much free time, and in the midst of that pain, that was when it dropped in my spirit. Well, it was someone who told me, Joy, like, you need to record this. Like, you have been meant to write. Like, you need to blog. And that was my first time ever hearing blog, like blogging, you know. And so I Googled it, did my research, and I'm like, okay, let me just start. And for over 3 years, it's just been changing. It's just, I've been growing through it. I've been expressing myself through it. And that just really got me here, I would say. It was definitely a breakup. A breakup actually led me up to where God wanted me to be.
So it sounds like the breakup led you to a breakout, where you broke out of what you were probably hiding behind to live life on purpose.
Absolutely. It was back in the day when I was in that relationship. Like, that person wasn't horrible or anything, but I thought that was it. I thought, well, I was finishing up my master's program. I was already working, and you know what? I had a man, and I was still going to church, and I was involved in church. So I was like, well, I'm good. Like, I'm set. And I really thought that was life, and it wasn't until I was really, like, single, I had to really start to think about my likes, like my wants and my needs as a single person, and it really broke me out. Like, I started really, like, just finding out so much things about myself that I never, ever knew. So it was a tough process, but amazing nonetheless.
So, Joy, how did you actually start learning about yourself?
So I'm not going to lie. I was crying myself to sleep at times. I was crying in the shower. It was really when I felt very alone, like really by myself. Like, I'm not originally from New Jersey. I grew up in Connecticut. So being in New Jersey, like after that breakup, like I still didn't know many people. And the people that I did know, they were like married and they like had kids. So, I couldn't always like really keep them to myself. So I started spending time with myself. Like, I was taking myself out to eat. I was taking myself out to the city. I was taking myself out to the movies. Like, I was really dating myself. And, in that, like, midst, like, it was an opportunity for me to really start to do, like, activities that I really like to do. I was going to open mic events by myself. I was going to different types of events. And it was amazing. Like, I had to, like, see what Joy liked and what Joy didn't like through, like, taking myself out. And in that moment, I couldn't, like, really depend on anyone to say, hey, girl, like, like, I'm about to go to this open mic event. Do you want to go? Because many times women do that. And if our friend says, no, I'm not going, we don't go. We stay home. So I was forced to kind of, like, go out and really interact with the world and people solo.
So it sounds like you seriously put your courage in motion, because it takes courage to go and be by yourself and do things. And that's where I believe most women, we're like too scared to do that. Like, I'm not going, just like you said, I'm not going by myself. I'm just going to stay home and watch TV. And I think we miss out, right?
Yes, and I'm not going to lie, I was scared. I remember, it was back in the day, like, I would take myself, like, out here and there, like, maybe once in every blue moon, but I spent a majority of my time around people. So I was nervous, like, really going to, like, I was going to get, like, food. I was sitting down, and I was like, I'm going to sit down and eat by myself. And what I did was I put my phone in my bag, because we use our phones as distractions so that we don't feel awkward. And I had no choice but to, like, eat and look around and think. But I felt so awkward. I was so scared. Anytime I was eating my food, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I could have just brought this home, and, like, watch TV and, like, ate. But now it's like, you know what? If I want something, I don't wait for anyone. I just go to wherever I want to go to or eat wherever I want to eat. And I love it. I love it.
So you ask yourself, like, what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? I'm afraid, and I'm out here, like, eating by myself. Am I crazy? Well, listen, let me tell those of you who are listening that courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. And that's what Joy said she did, like, questioning herself, right, Joy?
Oh, yeah. Like, if you're afraid, just do it. Like, you have to be like Nike and just do it. Because you miss out when you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. And so many of us as women, we are missing out because we are afraid to just do it. Like, seriously, what is the worst thing that could happen? And as long as you still have your life, then you're good.
Mm-hmm.
And if by chance you lose your life doing something you believe in and you wanted to do, then you've died on purpose. Don't worry about it, girl.
Right.
Right.
I love that. Yes.
So, Joy, what lessons did you learn as a result of what you went through, your journey? And how can we learn?
That's actually a really great question. Like, that's, I have to take a deep breath in. Whew, where do I start? So one of the things I learned was that there was more to life than a relationship. I think, I definitely want to get married. I definitely want to be in a relationship, but I still need to live my life. And the thing is, like, I know that time will come. And even when that time comes, I still need to continue to live, and I had to learn that, like, God had so much more for me just other than a relationship status. And I also learned that there's purpose in our pain. Like, if it had not been for that breakup and my heart being broken, I really wouldn't be talking to you right now, And so I think many times, I've seen a lot of women trying to figure out what their purpose is, and we're looking for this rainbow. And I tell women, I'm like, what is it that you're currently facing that is hurting you, that you are just, like, breaking inside? That can probably be connected to whatever it is that God has called you to do or to be. And so I learned those two things. And I think what people can learn is to really start to think about just whatever it is that they're struggling in right now. I had my heart broken, and I didn't know who to turn to. I mean, yes, I had really great friends that I was able to vent, but I didn't know what to do with this baggage. Like, how am I supposed to live life after this? And so I encourage women to really start to think about the various things that has been plaguing them, that has been hurting them and paining them, and just once they discover that, like, really start to grasp it and take control of it, because you don't want your pain taking full control of you. You still take control of it, and then you begin to implement it and really turn it into something that can impact someone else, because your pain isn't just for you, it's actually for someone else.
What we go through is always about purpose. And even when we're going through, when we give someone a heart, we really just never expect to get it back in pieces. We want people to take care of our heart and guard our heart as we guard our heart. So what can we do, Joy, as women, when we have a broken heart, to gather the pieces back and start fresh? What's, like, the first two steps you think we should take?
I think definitely the first, like, the number one absolute step, like, this can't even be out of order, is you need to bring all those pieces to God. Be real with God. Pray to God. Like, cry to God. Like, I think we think that we have to go to God perfect, and that we have to be, Father God, in the name of Jesus, you are the great I am. It's okay to be like, God, I am hurting right now. This is aching my heart. And I think we're not being real with God. And so I think we need to take our broken pieces and bring them to God and be like, God, I am a mess right now. I don't know what to do right now. I am stuck. God, like, have your way with these pieces, because I don't have the strength to put them together. And so when we bring our things to God, be honest with them and tell him, and really admit with our mouth and with our hearts that I don't have the strength to do it, because he doesn't want you to do it by yourself. And I think we think we're supposed to heal ourselves by ourselves. God will heal us. And also, I think another step is that God uses people to heal us. So there are times when you are dealing with a broken heart, and it's like, how am I supposed to manage this? Like, how am I supposed to, like, live my life? I would strongly encourage women to go into therapy. I remember when I first got out of the breakup, like, I didn't know what to do, but I did hear about therapy. I asked somebody in my church about it, and I wanted more information because the person had a background in that. And he told me, no, I'm fine, I don't need it. and I listened. Looking back, I wish I had not listened to him and dived right into therapy. I think it's okay for us to be proactive in our healing and really utilizing the men and women that God has, like, put in this earth that will help other people heal and grow.
And that is a good word, because we need therapy. God gave us therapists to help us find healing, hope, and possibility. And I love how you reminded us we can't do this thing alone. On the flip side of that coin, we're not alone. Whatever we're going through, somebody has either gone through it, they're going through it, or they're about to go through it. And that's why it's so important for us to share our pain and our story with the right person, so that not only can we find hope and healing, but we can help someone else find hope and healing. And Absolutely. That's what you do. That's what you do, Joy. You actually took your pain and you let God use it for his purpose. Now, a lot of people didn't know you and didn't see you going through. They didn't know you were crying in the shower. They just see your beautiful face plastered all over social media and your website, and they say, oh, she got it going on. But they don't know that the struggle was real. So what's been the hardest part of your journey, and how did you use your courage and your faith to overcome?
When you were saying about me, like, having this happy phase on, on my site and on social media, and, like, people not knowing, like, that really hit me because it's so real. I think one of the hardest part is, one, it's been really forgiving myself for my past. I think a lot of the things that I have blogged about have been things that I've dealt with, or pretty much it could be things that I'm currently dealing with now. And I think, like, I had to be very real with myself, and I had to take a good look in the mirror and say, Joy, you're not perfect. And, I'm not saying that I ever thought of myself as perfect, but I really felt that I knew better and that, like, I was doing better. And in this journey, I've had to, I had such open eyes of this self-awareness that, Joy, you are still struggling with so many things. Like, I've had to really come to grips with that. And then, just knowing, like, I have to forgive myself for my past. And I think a lot of the times, like, the enemy will constantly remind you, like, oh, girl, like, you're not supposed to be blogging and talking because you're a hot mess because you used to do X, Y, and Z. And so that sometimes does rise up, and so, but then I've had to really begin to train myself, like, okay, like, am I really going to sit and sulk in my emotions, or am I going to keep going? And many times I keep going, but I haven't always been successful. There were moments when I literally took a break from blogging because it was just too much. I was trying to figure everything out. And then I think another thing that has been the hardest is just being vulnerable, and vulnerable through my speaking and through my posts and through my videos and my blogs, and letting people know that I'm not perfect, and I feel you, sis, because I was dealing with the same thing you were dealing with. And people sometimes are taken back because they would never think that I would put up with certain foolishness from guys, like dealing with certain things, like lowering of my standards. I've done that. I've been there, done that, and more. And, that means that I need to be vulnerable in sharing my story. And that has been difficult because you do put yourself on the, you do put yourself in front of people to be judged. And no one likes to be judged. Like, yes, we're going to be judged, but ideally, emotionally, no one likes that. So that's been very difficult.
Difficult, yet once again, I hear you saying through that same thread that you used your courage and you did it anyway. You went through or worked through the process of forgiving yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. You let it go.
Oh, yes. Now that is a word. You got me, like, really in my feelings, like, oh, I'm getting a little bit emotional because it's so true. It is so true, like, the power of growth and, like, learning through things and, like, to not stop, and that keeps me going. Like, no matter how crazy I may have been back then, it really it had to happen for all of this to come into the now, right now.
Yeah. And for me, I say no matter how crazy I am right now, this has to happen.
Yeah, keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah, forgive yourself and give yourself some grace, because we're going to do some things that we shouldn't do. And that's where grace and forgiveness has been given to you. To you, my sister, the one who's listening, to you. Forgive yourself. Grace has already covered it. So, Joy,
Amen.
You became a blogger. Now, I've heard of bloggers before, but I've never honestly heard of a lifestyle blogger. So tell me, what is a lifestyle blogger? I mean, I know you blog about life, so, I mean, I don't know if that's obvious or not. And I know you talk about issues that women face. It's clear that your desire is for women to face their fears and to live out of their courage. So is that what a lifestyle blogger is? I don't know.
Yeah.
Help me.
So so anyone who's listening, like if you Google what a lifestyle blogger is, it may not look like anything from my site, because when you think about lifestyle blogging, like you think about like the hair and then the makeup and the clothes and the foods and kind of like the day-to-day. But for me, I've taken that term and said, I want to talk about things that happen in life, because that's still our lifestyle. Like our emotions is part of our lifestyle. Our relationship status can impact our lifestyle. Like how we deal with things on the job or like working out and trying to be healthy. Like that's a life, it's like pretty much like our lifestyle, and so I think for me, I define it as really starting to touch on the internal things that we deal with, because I think sometimes we like to cover things up a little bit, right? Like, I love like bloggers that blog about hair, makeup, beauty, because I have my go-tos and they're amazing, but I wanted to kind of take it up and really start to talk about things that we deal with, like the things that we have in our hearts, like the things that we have in our minds and in our spirits, because that's part of who we are, and so for me, like a lifestyle blogger is someone who just talks about life and talks about it unapologetically.
I think I get it. So in other words, while other bloggers are talking about clothes, makeup, and hair, you're talking about the heart of the matter. You're talking about life from the inside out.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I may have to borrow that.
Girl, you can have it. Nothing belongs to me. You can have it. So, okay, so as a lifestyle blogger, talking about life from the inside out, talking about the matters of the heart, you do help women face their fears, and that is a matter of the heart. So if someone's listening right now and they're ready to take a step, but they're embarrassed, they're covered by shame and guilt, and they haven't really forgiven themselves, but they want to live bold, they want to say, hey, I want to do that like you, Joy. What's a step, the first step they can take?
So the very first step is to start. We tend to wait until it's the right time for things to like kind of form, just, and I think I have this philosophy. If you wait for the right time to start something, you are going to be waiting for the rest of your life. And so I encourage anyone listening, start. If you're like, oh my gosh, I want to blog, but I don't know, start today. Like, you can just start typing up ideas and stuff. Just whatever it is that you want to do, start. If you want to start this business, then you need to start jotting down, like, the blueprint of what it is that you want your business, like, to go in. And don't wait. And while you're starting, block your ears and cover your eyes, because people will start to tell you certain things that will be very discouraging And you don't got time for that because, like you're going to be starting anyways, right? And cover your eyes because you're going to start to see other people do that and you'll start to compare yourself. Don't, you know what I mean? And so start and keep your eyes on God, and whatever it is that you're seeking to start, if it's bigger than you, if you look at it and you're like, I don't know if like I can do something like that, that is the perfect. It should be confirmation for you to start now more than ever, because just whatever it is that you're going to do, God wants you to need him. And so if you felt like you got it, are you going to look to God? No. So if your thing is to write this book and you failed all your English classes, but it has been ingrained in your heart and in your spirit to write, do it, because God is going to grace you to actually write this book, and it will be successful. Watch.
Let me tell you something. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't stand writing. Even though English was really like one of my favorite classes, I hate writing. Absolutely hate it with a capital H. But I just can't explain, except for God did it, how I have 7 books, 4 of them bestsellers. It's because I implemented what you just said. Keep your eyes on God, not on people, and just do what he told you to do. Just do what he said.
Yes. Awesome. Absolutely.
So, Joy, I know I personally absolutely adore following you on Instagram, and I'm confident that our listeners enjoyed listening to you today. So how can they connect with you on social media or your website?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Miss Joy 88. So it's MISSJOY and the numbers 8 and 8. And then my website is actually, I'm going to say it first and I'm going to spell it. It's www.joyosahon.org. That is JOYOSAHON.org. But if you follow me on Instagram, you can actually really be directed to my site if you click the link in my bio, if that's easier. Follow me, send me a message. I do respond, and I do follow back.
And if you missed that, didn't get a chance to write it down, no worries. Hakuna Matata. You can always visit us on our website at conversationsoncourage.com. That's conversationsoncourage.com. Joy, the conversation has been amazing. Thank you for being so authentic and down to earth. Thank you for sharing your story for God's glory with us and helping us realize we don't have to live where we're dying. And as I always say, we don't have to die where we're living. Would you leave us with a word of courage that we can take with us throughout our day today?
Oh, yes. Whatever it is that you are dealing with, that you are facing, that you may be insecure about, bring everything to God and start. Tell God yes to whatever it is he has you to do, and you will see that he will elevate. He will turn your tears, he will turn your insecurities to be someone's hope. And that hope that you will instill in someone else is going to bring you such great peace. So don't give up. I'm rooting for you.
Keep your eyes on God. Go ahead and start, and don't give up. Thank you, Miss Joy. Blessings to you today. You've certainly been a blessing to us. Thanks for joining us here at the table on Conversations on Courage.
Thanks for having me.
Well, just like we promised, another epic conversation on courage. And thanks for being the best part of it. I'm RJ Jackson, the Courage Giver, and I'd be delighted to continue the conversation with you. As always, thank you for being the most amazing part and the most valuable part of the Conversation on Courage podcast. We're nothing without you, so thanks for joining us. Join us again next week right here at the same time as we come to encourage your heart. For now, keep up your courage and stay blessed indeed.
Thank you for joining us for Conversations on Courage. Now that you've been inspired, informed, and encouraged, it's time for you to take action. So head on over to thecouragegiver.com. That's thecouragegiver.com and connect with RJ for a personal conversation on courage. She's waiting to help you take the risk you need to succeed.